Do you want to build some muscle, but you don't know how to set up your hypertrophy phase? Or do you want some advice on putting together a hypertrophy phase? In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to build a hypertrophy phase from start to finish using methods I use with my very own clients. Step 1. Establish a training frequency and the amount of time you can spend in the gym. Everyone's going to have a little bit different schedules. I currently have clients that sometimes ask for 8 sessions a week, 9 sessions a week. Some of these are 2-a-days. I also have clients that say it'll be a stretch for me to get in 4 days a week. Could I do 3? All are right answers. It's just dependent on your goal and where you're at currently and what you can put into it. So let's say you've selected 3 days a week and you can be in the gym for 45 minutes. You're going to build a lot of muscle with that. Maybe not the most muscle possible, but for most people, they're going to build a crap ton of muscle doing that. Okay, so in this 3-day-a-week example, we need to figure out what type of split we're going to do. We know based off the evidence that hitting a muscle group twice a week is far superior than once a week. So with a 3-day-a-week training frequency, we probably want to do something like full body. So this might be full body Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In the 6-day-a-week example, or in higher frequencies, you could start to do body part splits. So you could do push, pull, legs. That's a common one, things like that. So you have your frequency, you have your time, and you have your split. There's a lot of right answers for splits. The most important thing is that you're hitting all target muscle groups that you want to get significantly bigger twice a week and giving them ample rest, at least 48 hours in between hitting them. Now we go on to select our exercises. If you're a little bit less experienced, you can gravitate more towards machines. If you're a little bit more experienced, you can gravitate more towards free weights. But in general, a bulk of your training should be compound movements that target a lot of major and large muscle groups that give you a high degree of stimulus, meaning pumps, disruption, and soreness, like you get that jello-y feeling in your arms with no joint pain. And to make sure your exercise selection hits most of your body, you likely want to squat something, hinge at the hips, push something horizontally and pull something horizontally, and push and pull something vertically as well. So in our full body example, we could do something like squats, then deadlifts, then a row variant, a pull down variant, a bench press variant, and an overhead press variant. That's going to take care of almost every muscle group you need to worry about. Again, most of these should come from compound movements, and then after you've kind of laid the groundwork with mostly compounds, you could sprinkle in isolation movements. So that's your bicep curls, your lateral raises, etc. Next, you want to select your rep range. Although there's no clear hypertrophy rep range, this has largely been a little bit debunked. We know for sure that somewhere between 5 and 30 reps, as long as it's relatively close to failure, is the right answer. For the sake of helping the most amount of people out, 8 to 12 reps is a really good start that will get you a lot of benefits both in terms of hypertrophy and strength. Now, I mentioned you need to train close to failure. I have 2 pieces of advice for you. Beginners train around 2 reps from failure. So if failure is where the bar would stop and you're shaking, stop your sets 2 reps shy of that. Film yourself to kind of audit this. I highly recommend that in beginners. For intermediate onwards, I recommend starting your mesocycles around 3 reps from failure and gradually progressing all the way to failure before your deload. More on that later. So now we have the rough outline of our program put together, how many reps we're doing, etc. We need to set our baseline to determine how many sets we're going to do. The main thing that you want to do on week 1 is go in and train your target muscle that you're doing. So let's say we're doing squats, which is going to train the quads. We're going to do our quad exercises until we get a pump or a stiff feeling in our quads or a muscle disruption feeling. So like your quads aren't functioning properly. A good example is like you get done squatting, you have to lean on something because your legs are kind of shaking and giving out. If you have that stiff feeling and that disruptive feeling, congratulations, you're done. However many sets that was, that's your baseline for quads for week 1. If this is your true week 1 and you've deloaded prior to that, or if you're a beginner, sometimes this can happen in as little as 1 set. You do this across all of your muscle groups, track it out, add sets where needed, and now you know your baseline sets. Let's say you get pumps and disruption from 2 sets of chest, 1 set of quads, etc. That's your new baseline. So we know that progressive overload is the main way that we're going to continue to get better and grow. So how do we do that? Well, for a beginner, I recommend trying to beat your repetitions from the week previous. What I mean by that is compare Monday week 1 to Monday week 2. If you got 10 reps in week 1 on an exercise, shoot for 11 on week 2, maybe 12. Anytime you get to that top end of a rep range, so you're hitting 12 reps, I want you to add load. So it's really simple. Each week, go in there and try to beat your reps. Once you get more than 12 reps, add load. That's going to knock you back down to the lower end of your rep range. For anyone intermediate or on, I recommend adding a little bit of load to the bar each week and then trying to maintain your reps that you got in the previous week. What's going to happen is you either got fit enough to handle the new amount of load. Let's say you added 5 pounds to your squat, 10 pounds maybe, or you got more fit, but not quite fit enough to handle that new amount of weight addition. Your repetitions in reserve is going to drop a little bit. So you started in week 1, again for intermediate, at 3 reps from failure. You add load to the bar in week 2, and now that drops you down to 2 reps in reserve. You're going to complete this weekly, adding load, dropping reps in reserve by consequence, until you get to 0 reps in reserve. You complete that week, and at the end of that week, you deload. So this has you adding load to the bar every single week and going closer to failure almost every single week. This ensures that you're progressively overloading. So now we know our program, how to select exercises, frequency, etc., and how to progress it. The one thing we haven't talked about progressing yet is volume, or sets in this instance. For a beginner, I recommend adding 1 set per week for a muscle group that's not sore. I don't mean 1 set per exercise. I mean if you did 3 sets of bench press on Monday, 3 on Wednesday, and 3 on Friday, I want you to add 1 set to that week. So maybe you're doing 4 on Monday. That's your addition. For intermediates, I recommend adding 3 sets if you got absolutely no soreness and low pumps and disruption. If you got mild pumps and disruption and a little bit of soreness, but it resolved well in advance of 2 days, I recommend adding 1, maybe 2 sets depending on the severity. If you had crazy soreness that barely healed on time, or even you were sore too long, I recommend adding no sets and repeating the same week because you likely got more fit. So now you know how to roughly put together a hypertrophy plan, select your exercises, rep ranges, sets, and how to progress them. You can use this model indefinitely, changing out exercises when they stop giving you as much pumps, disruption, and soreness, or they start to hurt your joint or otherwise feel stale. Hopefully that helps. Be sure to leave a comment with any questions, and I'll likely make a full long-form video answering your specific question.